Hello everyone, welcome to my video. So here I would like to share a simple trick that I came across while preparing these Excel charts. So here we have a trend line across different periods spread across 3 years, I think, yeah. And here we have a drop down where we can switch this data on a quarterly basis or on a yearly basis. Right. So as we have all the quarters filled here, right? So the trend is continuous. And once I switch this to year, right? So currently we have only data until the first 3 years, right? So the rest of the placeholders that we have here has no data and hence it is zero. But if I don't want to show this in the Excel chart, right? So what is the trick here? So we can achieve this using our dynamic name ranges that we can create in Excel, which I'm going to walk you through in this video. So this is the actual data, right? So we have the data spread across 3 years, which is divided into quarters. And I've just created two lists, one for year and one for the quarter, so that when I'm selecting the selection from the drop down here, the respective axis labels will come across in the final table form, right? So for which I've written a simple formula. So if I select year in this drop down, then take the value from here, or if I select quarter from this drop down, take the value from column G, right? On top of this, I've just written a simple SUMIF based upon the same thing. Again, if I select a year here, used using this label, sum the values here, otherwise do the values according to the quarter. Right? So all of these things I am not going to discuss in detail because this is simple stuff. Uh, so let's try to focus on how do we create the dynamic name ranges here, right? So I'm using a offset formula, right? But for that, I'll have to define the length of the labels based upon a selection. So if I select quarter here, I have 12 different labels. So that's how I'm getting 12 here. And if I select year, I have 3 different labels. So I'm inputting these numbers from the values in column F and G in the third row. So I've just written a countf that is picking the number of unique items under the year section and also under the quarter section, right? And based upon the selection, the value will change here. It's just an if statement again, right? So once we have this formula written, we can use the offset function in Excel to capture the length of the name ranges directly. So the offset syntax is something like this. You'll have to start with the reference, then you'll have to move the rows and columns as per your requirement, and then we'll define the height and width of the range that you are focusing on, right? So here I can just start off with this. Yeah. So this is our reference when we can fix this. Let's say we are writing this dynamic name range for the x-axis labels, which is the period, be it a year or quarter, right? So, so I'll just have to capture all of this. So for that, I'm starting with I5. So I5 is what you've given here, and then it's asking us to tell how many rows I need to go down. So we don't have to go down any number of rows because we're already starting in the right point. Uh, no need to move any columns also towards the right or left because we are in the right column. So I'm giving 0. So then it is asking us to take the height input, right? So height is basically the size of the period columns, which is given in I3 cell. So I'm giving it here and pressing it. And then width obviously will be 1, right? So when we input this value in the cell, of course, we'll not get anything. So you can just store this formula here and then copy the formula from the formula bar. Then you open the name range section. So I've just already added this earlier, but just for demonstration, just inputting the name here. Just copy paste the formula in the formula bar and select OK. So here we have the test formula. So you can always check if we are selecting the right range or not. So it is highlighting the range for us here. Right? So once we have this thing, so the rest is just to create the offset for our values also. Again, there are many ways to do it. So I have already freezed things. So we are starting from I5, and then we'll just don't have to move any rows down further. But of course, we'll have to move one column towards the right. So I'm just putting +1 here, right? And similarly, all this will not change again. Right? So if I look at this, I mean, you can press Ctrl F3 to look at all the name ranges that you have added in your workbook. So I already have added x-axis and y-axis labels here. So one thing that we need to do is once you create the chart, right? So just select the data, and you can uh, access the value section and also the label section here. You can edit it and input the name ranges that you have given. So one thing that you can do is generally you can press F3 once you clear this label section. So it will give you the list of all the name ranges that you have in the system. So this is the label placeholder, axis label range placeholder. So I'm just giving x-axis here. So this is how it takes initially, but when you click OK, it will throw an error. So it's always advisable to also give the workbook name or maybe the sheet name. Yeah. Version 2, just give this thing, it will take it automatically. All right. So that's how I've given the name ranges for it. So now your chart, and similarly, I've just given the name ranges for the value section also. If you want, you can just click here and see it, right? So it's taking the sheet name. So we don't just provide the name names directly. Either you provide the workbook name or sheet name. So it will take it without any issues. Yeah. So now let me just check this out. So if I select quarter, so we have 12 data points, right? And if I select year, so we are taking only 3 data points, right? So we don't have any excess data points with this 0 values. Okay. So this is how we can achieve the dynamic name range or dynamic chart axes when you have different period selections. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this content, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section.